Jake Morrison opened the front door of his small house and stopped. He could hear voices coming from the living room. Two voices that sounded exactly the same. He knew one of them was his wife Zara. But who was the other person? He put his work bag down by the door and walked slowly toward the living room. The voices stopped talking. Jake turned the corner and felt his world spin. Two women sat on his couch. They looked exactly the same. Same tall body. Same silver hair that glowed softly. In the afternoon light, same bright eyes with tiny stars in them. Both wore simple earth clothes, jeans and sweaters. One was his wife Zara. The other was a complete stranger who looked just like her. "Jake, you're home early," Zara said. Her silver hair turned light blue, which Jake knew meant she was nervous. She always got nervous when something was wrong. Jake stared at both women. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The stranger stood up and smiled at him. Her hair was calm silver, not changing colors like Zara's. "Hello, Jake," the stranger said in Zara's voice. "My name is Kira. I am Zara's twin sister." Jake felt like someone had hit him with a truck. Twin sister? In 2 years of marriage, Zara had never said she had a sister. She had never even said she had any family at all. "Twin sister?" Jake finally said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Zara stood up next to Kira. Now Jake could see them side by side. They were exactly the same height. They had the same face, the same hands, the same everything. The only difference was their hair colors. Zara's kept changing from blue to purple, showing how worried she was. Kira's stayed silver. "Yes," Zara said quietly. "I should have told you about her before now." Jake sat down hard in his favorite chair. He looked back and forth between the two women. "How did you find us?" he asked Kira. "Our family has been looking for Zara for 2 years," Kira said. "When her ship crashed on Earth, we lost contact with her. We only found her location last week." Jake remembered when he first met Zara. She had been hurt and scared, hiding in the woods behind his house. Her small ship had crashed during a storm. He had helped her, given her food and a place to stay. She had been alone and far from home. Over time, they fell in love. She had told him she was from a planet called Villani, but she never talked much about her family or her past. "You never told me you had a sister?" Jake said to Zara. "You never told me you had any family." Zara's hair turned darker blue. "I was going to tell you, I didn't know how." "It has been hard for both of us," Kira said softly. "Villani twins are not meant to be apart for so long." Jake looked at Kira. "What do you mean?" Kira and Zara looked at each other. They seemed to have a whole conversation with just their eyes. Jake had seen Zara do this before when she was thinking about something from her home planet. "There are things about our culture that I haven't explained to you yet," Zara said. Her hair was now dark purple, which meant she was very upset. "What kind of things?" Jake asked. He was starting to feel worried. In 2 years, he thought he knew everything important about Zara and her people. Kira sat down again. "Among the Villani, twins are very special. We are born together, we grow up together, and we are meant to stay together our whole lives." "Okay," Jake said slowly. "But Zara chose to stay on Earth with me. She chose to marry me." "Yes," Kira said, "and I respect that choice. But there are things about Villani twins that make separation very difficult." Jake looked at his wife. "Zara, what is she talking about?" Zara sat down next to Kira. For a moment, both their hair turned the same color, a soft gold that Jake had never seen before. It was like they were connected somehow. "Villani twins share more than just the same face," Zara said. "We share feelings, thoughts, even dreams sometimes. When we are apart for too long, we get sick." "Sick how?" Jake asked. "Soul sickness," Kira said. "We become weak, sad, and confused. Our hair loses its color. We cannot eat or sleep well." Jake looked at Zara more carefully. Now that Kira mentioned it, Zara had seemed tired lately. Her hair had been duller than usual. She had been picking at her food instead of eating. He had thought she was just stressed from work. "Is that why you've been feeling bad lately?" he asked Zara. She nodded. "I didn't want to worry you. I thought I could handle it. Jake felt angry and confused. Why didn't you tell me this before? Why didn't you tell me you had a twin sister who needed to be with you? Because I knew it would be complicated, Zara said. Human culture is different from ours. I didn't want to lose you. Lose me? Why would you lose me? Kira and Zara looked at each other again. This time Jake could see fear in both their eyes. There is more, Kira said quietly. In our culture, when one twin chooses a life partner, both twins share that partner. It is how we stay connected and healthy. Jake felt the room start to spin. Share? What do you mean, share? I mean that if Zara is your wife, then I should be too, Kira said. It is the only way for us to both be happy and healthy. Jake stood up quickly. Wait, what? You want me to be married to both of you? It is not about wanting, Zara said, standing up too. It is about need. It is about who we are. Jake walked to the window and looked out at his quiet street. Everything looked normal outside. Kids were playing in their yards. Cars drove by slowly. But inside his house, his whole world had just changed. He turned back to face the two women. They were sitting close together now, holding hands. Their hair was both the same worried blue color. I need time to think about this, Jake said. Of course, Kira said. I don't want to force anything. I just want you to understand what is happening to us. Zara stood up and walked to Jake. I love you, she said. That hasn't changed. I should have told you about Kira before, but I was scared. Jake looked into his wife's eyes. He could see the fear there, but also the love. I love you too, he said. But this is a lot to process. I know, Zara said. I'm sorry. Jake looked at Kira, who was still sitting on the couch. She looked sad and tired. Where are you staying? He asked her. I have a room at the hotel downtown, she said. I didn't want to assume I could stay here. Jake ran his hands through his hair. This was the strangest day of his life. You can stay in the guest room tonight, he said. We can figure out the rest tomorrow. Thank you, Kira said. Her hair brightened a little. That night, Jake lay in bed next to Zara, but he couldn't sleep. He could hear quiet voices from the guest room, like Kira was talking to someone. But when he listened more carefully, he realized she was talking to herself. Or maybe she was talking to Zara somehow, even though Zara was right next to him. Jake stared at the ceiling and wondered what he had gotten himself into. He loved Zara more than anything, but could he really share her with her twin sister? Could he be married to two people? What would his friends think? What would his family think? But then he thought about how sad and tired Zara had been lately. If being apart from her sister was making her sick, then maybe there was no choice. Maybe this was what love really meant, accepting someone completely, even the parts you didn't understand. Jake closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but his mind kept racing with questions he didn't know how to answer. Jake woke up the next morning feeling confused and tired. He had dreamed about two silver-haired women all night, and now he couldn't tell which memories were real and which were dreams. He rolled over and saw that Zara was already awake, staring at the ceiling. Her hair was pale gray, which meant she was thinking hard about something. Did you sleep at all? Jake asked. A little, Zara said. Kira and I were talking. I heard voices. Were you talking out loud? Zara turned to look at him. Not with words. Filani twins can share thoughts when we are close to each other. We were catching up. Jake sat up in bed. Every day he learned something new about his wife that surprised him. Can you read my thoughts too? No, Zara said quickly. It only works between twins. And we have to choose to connect. It's not automatic. Jake got dressed and went to the kitchen to make coffee. He could hear quiet voices from the guest room. This time they were definitely talking out loud. When he walked past the room, the talking stopped. A few minutes later, both sisters came to the kitchen. They moved in a way that was almost like dancing, stepping around each other without bumping or getting in each other's way. Jake had never seen anything like it. Good morning, Kira said. Her hair was brighter today, more silver and less gray. Morning, Jake said. He poured coffee for all three of them. How did you sleep? Better than I have in 2 years, Kira said. Being near Zara helps with the soul sickness. Jake looked at Zara. Her hair was brighter too, and her skin looked healthier. You look better today. I feel better, she said. But Jake, we need to talk about what happens now. Jake sat down at the kitchen table with his coffee. The two sisters sat across from him. In the morning light, he could see small differences between them. Kira had a tiny scar on her left hand. Zara had a small mole on her neck that Kira didn't have. But everything else was exactly the same. Tell me more about how this works in your culture, Jake said. Kira nodded. On our home planet, when twins are born, everyone knows they will share their lives completely. When they choose partners, those partners understand that they are really choosing both twins. But what does that mean exactly? Jake asked. Do you live together? Do you sleep together? Both sisters' hair turned pink, which Jake had learned meant they were embarrassed. Each couple finds their own way, Zara said. Some live in the same house. Some live in separate houses but close by. Some share everything. Others share some things, but keep some things private. The important thing is that the twins stay connected, Kira said. We need to see each other regularly, share our lives, and not feel cut off from each other. Jake drank his coffee and thought about this. And if I say no? If I can't do this? Both sisters looked sad. Their hair turned blue again. Then I would have to choose, Zara said quietly. Between you and Kira. And if you chose me? Then Kira would get sicker and sicker until she died, Zara said. And I would probably die too, because losing a twin is like losing half of your, soul. And if you chose Kira? Then I would have to leave Earth and go back to our home planet. I would never see you again. Jake felt like someone was squeezing his heart. Those are terrible choices. Yes, Kira said. That's why I came here. I'm hoping we can find a third choice. Jake's phone rang. He looked at the screen and saw it was his friend Lisa from work. Hi, Lisa, he said. Jake, are you okay? You left work early yesterday and you looked upset. Jake looked at the two sisters. I'm fine, just dealing with some family stuff. Do you want to talk about it? I could come over. Jake thought about it. Lisa was smart and practical. She worked at the Alien Integration Center and knew a lot about different alien cultures. Maybe she could help him understand this situation better. Actually, yes. Could you come over this morning? There's something I need help with. Of course. I'll be there in an hour. Jake hung up the phone. My friend, Lisa is coming over. She works with alien cultures for her job. Maybe she can help us figure this out. Are you sure you want to tell someone else? Zara asked. This is very personal. I need advice from someone who understands both human and alien cultures, Jake said. And I trust Lisa. When Lisa arrived, Jake introduced her to Kira. Lisa's eyes got very wide. Twins, she said. Wow, I can barely tell you apart. That's the problem, Jake said. He explained the whole situation to Lisa while the sisters sat quietly and listened. Lisa asked a lot of questions. She wanted to know about Villani biology, their social systems, and their history. Kira answered most of the questions. Jake could see that Lisa was thinking like a scientist, trying to understand how this all worked. This is actually not that unusual, Lisa finally said. I've studied several alien species that have group marriages or shared partnerships. Humans are actually pretty unusual for being mostly monogamous. Really? Jake said. Really. The Zentari have group marriages of 4 to 6 people. The Orion have lifetime partnerships where each person has one primary partner and 2 secondary partners. There are lots of different ways to organize relationships. Jake felt a little better knowing this wasn't completely crazy. But the twin connection is special, Lisa continued. I've never heard of anything quite like what you're describing. The mental connection, the soul sickness when separated, that's very powerful. It is real, Kira said. I can show you. She looked at Zara and both of their eyes got a dreamy look. Then, without talking, they both reached for their coffee cups at exactly the same time and took a sip. Then they both smiled and their hair turned the same light gold color. "That's incredible," Lisa said. "You were sharing the same thought." "We can share feelings, memories, even physical sensations sometimes," Zara said. "When I first came to Earth and got hurt in the crash, Kira felt my pain even though she was on our home planet." Lisa looked at Jake. "How do you feel about all this?" Jake was quiet for a long time. "Scared," he finally said. "Confused. I love Zara, but this is so different from anything I've ever thought about." "What scares you the most?" Lisa asked. "What will people think? What will my family think? How do we make this work practically?" And Jake stopped. "And what? What if I'm not enough for both of them? What if this doesn't work and I lose Zara anyway?" Kira leaned forward. "Jake, you don't have to be enough for both of us in the same way. I'm not trying to replace what you and Zara have. I just want to be part of it." "What does that mean?" "It means you and Zara keep your special relationship. Your private jokes, your memories, your connection. I just want to be close enough to not feel cut off from my sister." Jake looked at Zara. "Is that how you see it?" "Yes," Zara said. "I don't want you to love me less. I just want you to accept Kira as part of my life. Part of our life." Lisa stood up. "Jake, can I talk to you privately for a minute?" They went out to Jake's backyard. Lisa put her hand on his shoulder. "This is a big decision," she said, "and it's okay to take time to think about it." "What would you do?" Jake asked. "I don't know. But I can see that Zara really is getting sick from being away from her sister, and I can see that she loves you and doesn't want to choose between you. Do you think it could work?" "Maybe. You're a good person, Jake. You're kind and open-minded. If anyone could make this work, it would be you." They went back inside. Jake looked at both sisters who were sitting close together on the couch. "I need more time to think," he said, "and I want to learn more about how this works in your culture." "Of course," Kira said. "I don't want to rush you." "Can you stay for a few more days?" Jake asked. "Yes, my ship doesn't leave for another week." "Your ship?" "I came with a small group of other Villani who were looking for family members who crashed. On different planets, we've been searching for 2 years." Jake realized that this decision wasn't just about him and Zara and Kira. It was about whether Kira would stay on Earth or leave forever. That evening, Jake called his brother Ryan in California. "You want a what?" Ryan said when Jake explained the situation. "I don't know if I want to. I'm just trying to figure out if I could." "Jake, this is crazy. You can't marry 2 people. It's not legal. It's not normal." "A lot of things about my life aren't normal," Jake said. "I married an alien. We live in a world where aliens crash land in people's backyards. Normal isn't really an option anymore." Ryan was quiet for a moment. "Are you happy with Zara?" "Very happy." "And you think this sister thing is real? Not some kind of trick?" "I think it's real. I've seen how sick Zara has been getting." "Then I guess you have to decide what's more important, what other people think or keeping the woman you love healthy and happy." After Jake hung up the phone, he sat in his kitchen and thought about everything that had happened in the last 2 days. His quiet, normal life had completely changed. But maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe change was just part of loving someone from another world. Jake spent the next 3 days reading everything he could find about the Villani people. He went to the library, searched the internet, and borrowed files from Lisa's work at the Alien Integration Center. What he learned made him understand how serious the twin connection really was. Villani twins shared brainwaves that could be measured by medical equipment. They had the same heart rate when they were together. When one twin was hurt, the other twin's body would show signs of injury, too, even if they were far apart. But Jake also learned that his situation was more complicated than he first thought. Most Villani who came to Earth came in family groups. No one had ever studied what happened when a Villani twin lived alone with a human for years. On Thursday morning, Jake's brother Ryan called him. "I've been thinking about what you told me," Ryan said, "and I'm coming to visit you this weekend." "Ryan, you don't need to do that," Yes, I do. You're my brother and you're making a huge decision. I want to meet these women and see what's really going on. Jake felt worried. Ryan was protective and sometimes judgmental. Jake wasn't sure how he would react to Kira and Zara. Promise me. You'll be nice, Jake said. I promise I'll be honest. That afternoon, Jake came home from work to find both sisters looking upset. Their hair was dark blue and gray. What's wrong? He asked. Someone found out about us, Zara said. A reporter called the house asking questions about the alien love triangle. Jake felt his stomach drop. How did they find out? I don't know, Kira said, but they knew my name and they knew I was Zara's twin sister. Jake's phone started ringing. The caller ID said Channel 7 News. Don't answer it, Zara said. The phone stopped ringing, but then started again immediately. This time it was a different news station. We should go somewhere else for a few days, Jake said, until this calms down. Where? Kira asked. I know a place. Jake called his friend Mike, who owned a cabin up in the mountains. Mike said they could use it for as long as they needed. They packed quickly and left town. As they drove away, Jake saw a news van parked at the end of his street. The cabin was small but comfortable. It had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living room with a big fireplace. More importantly, it was private and quiet. I'm sorry this is happening, Kira said as they unpacked their bags. I never wanted to cause problems for you. It's not your fault, Jake said. People are just curious about things they don't understand. That evening, they sat by the fire and talked. Jake asked more questions about Villani culture, and both sisters told him stories about their home planet. What was it like growing up as twins, Jake asked. Wonderful, Zara said. We never felt lonely or left out. We always had each other, but also hard sometimes, Kira added. Other people expected us to be exactly the same. They didn't understand that we were 2 different people who just happened to share a special connection. How are you different? Jake asked. Zara smiled. Kira is more careful than I am. She thinks before she acts. I'm more impulsive. Zara is braver than I am, Kira said. She left our planet to explore the galaxy. I stayed home because I was afraid of new places. Jake could see the differences now that he knew what to look for. Kira spoke more softly and moved more slowly. Zara was more animated and expressive. What made you decide to come to Earth to find her? Jake asked Kira. When the soul sickness got really bad, I realized I would rather be scared and far from home than sick and miserable without my sister. On Friday, Jake's parents called. They had seen the news report about him. Jake, honey, are you okay? His mother, Linda, asked. The news made it sound like you're in some kind of weird situation. Jake explained everything to his parents while the sisters listened quietly. His father, Steve, asked a lot of scientific questions like he did when he was trying to understand something new. His mother asked more personal questions about how everyone was feeling. So you're thinking about marrying both of them? Linda asked. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure out what that would even mean. Well, I want to meet them, Linda said. If they're important to you, they're important to us. Are you sure? Of course, you're our son. We want to understand what's happening in your life. Saturday morning, Ryan arrived at the cabin. He was tense and serious, and he shook hands with both sisters very formally. So you're the twins, he said. Yes, Kira said quietly. Thank you for coming. I know this must be strange for you. Ryan looked back and forth between Kira and Zara. It is strange. But Jake says you're good people, so I want to give you a chance. Over the next 2 days, Jake watched his brother get to know both sisters. Ryan was suspicious at first, asking pointed questions and watching everything they did. But by Sunday afternoon, Jake could see that Ryan was starting to relax. The turning point came when Ryan accidentally cut his hand while helping to prepare dinner. Both sisters immediately rushed to help him, their hair turning worried colors. Kira got the first aid kit while Zara gently cleaned the cut. You 2 really are connected, aren't you? Ryan said, watching them work together. Yes, Zara said. When someone we care about gets hurt, we both feel it. Even me? Even you, Kira said. You're Jake's brother. That makes you family to us. 2. That evening, Ryan asked to talk to Jake privately. "They're not what I expected," Ryan said. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. I thought maybe they were trying to trick you somehow. But they genuinely care about you, and they genuinely need each other. So what do you think I should do?" Ryan was quiet for a long time. "I think you should stop worrying about what other people will think and decide what feels right to you." "But what will people think?" "Some people will be weird about it. Some people will be supportive. Most people will get used to it eventually. The question is, can you live with losing Zara if you don't try this?" Jake realized that Ryan was right. He had been so focused on how other people would react that he hadn't really thought about what he wanted. On Monday, they drove back to town. The news vans were gone, but Jake's neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, made a point of staring at them as they unloaded their bags. That evening, Lisa came over to check on them. "How are you holding up?" she asked Jake. "Better. I think I'm starting to understand what I want to do." "Which is?" "I want to try. I want to see if we can make this work." Lisa smiled. "I think that's brave." "It's terrifying," Jake said. "The best decisions usually are." Jake looked at both sisters, who were sitting together on the couch reading a book. They looked up at him at the same time and both smiled. "There's something else we need to tell you," Zara said. "Kira's ship is leaving in 3 days. If she's going to stay on Earth, she needs to tell them soon." "And if I stay," Kira said, "I can't go back to our home planet for at least 5 years. The next ship won't come for a long time." Jake realized that this decision was even bigger than he thought. If Kira stayed and things didn't work out, she would be trapped on Earth. If she left and Jake decided later that he wanted to try the arrangement, it would be too late. "No pressure," Ryan said sarcastically from the kitchen where he was making coffee. "Thanks for the help," Jake said. But Ryan was right. Jake was out of time to think about this decision. He had to choose now. He looked at Zara, the woman he had fallen in love with 2 years ago. She looked back at him with hope and fear in her star-filled eyes. He looked at Kira, who had traveled across space to find her sister and was willing to stay on an alien planet to keep them both healthy. He thought about his quiet, normal life before Zara crashed into it. That life had been safe and predictable, but it had also been lonely. Jake took a deep breath. "Kira, I want you to stay. Let's try to make this work." Both sisters' hair turned bright gold at the same time. Zara jumped up and hugged Jake, and after a moment, Kira hugged them both. "Are you sure?" Kira asked. "No," Jake said honestly. "But I'm sure I want to try." Outside, Mrs. Peterson was still watching from her window, but Jake didn't care anymore. This was his life, his choice, and his family. Whatever came next, they would figure it out together. 3 weeks after Kira decided to stay on Earth, Jake realized that making the decision was the easy part. Living with it was much harder. The first problem was practical. His house only had 2 bedrooms. Kira had been sleeping in the guest room, but that was supposed to be temporary. They needed to figure out a permanent arrangement. "Maybe we could add a room to the house," Zara suggested one morning over breakfast. "That would take months and cost a lot of money," Jake said. "And the neighbors are already gossiping about us. Construction would just give them more to talk about." "We could look for a bigger house," Kira said. "I like this house," Jake said. "I've lived here for 5 years. All my memories with Zara are here." The sisters looked at each other in that way they did when they were sharing thoughts. "What if we shared the main bedroom?" Zara asked carefully. Jake nearly choked on his coffee. "All 3 of us?" "We could get a bigger bed," Kira said. "In our culture, many families share sleeping spaces. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could just be comfortable." Jake thought about this. He had shared a bed with Zara for 2 years. The idea of sharing it with someone else felt strange. But everything about this situation was strange. "Let me think about it," he said. The second problem was harder to solve. Jake's work at the Alien Integration Center was becoming difficult. Some of his co-workers were supportive, but others made jokes or gave him strange looks. His boss, Dr. Martinez, called him into her office on a Friday afternoon. Jake, I need to ask you about your living situation, she said. What about it? There are complaints from some community members about having someone in an unusual relationship working at the center. Jake felt angry. I help aliens integrate into human society. My personal life makes me better at my job, not worse. I agree. But the center gets funding from the city council, and some council members are concerned about our public image. So, you're firing me? No, I'm not firing you. But I need you to be very professional and careful right now. No mistakes, no controversies. Can you do that? Jake nodded, but he felt frustrated. He was doing the same job he had always done, but now he had to be extra careful because his personal life was different. The third problem was the most painful. Jake's parents came to visit 2 weeks after Kira decided to stay. His mother, Linda, tried to be polite, but Jake could see she was uncomfortable. His father, Steve, was fascinated by the twin connection but worried about Jake. Are you happy? Steve asked Jake privately while they were working in the garden. I think so. It's complicated. How so? Jake thought about how to explain it. I love Zara. That hasn't changed. And I'm starting to care about Kira too, but in a different way. She's like a sister-in-law who's also a friend. But everyone expects me to be romantically involved with both of them. And I'm not sure that's what any of us want. Have you talked to them about it? We're all still figuring it out. That evening, Linda pulled Jake aside while the sisters were doing dishes together. I'm worried about you, she said. This situation seems very stressful. All relationships are stressful sometimes, Mom. Not like this. You look tired all the time. You seem anxious. Jake realized his mother was right. He had been sleeping badly and feeling worried constantly. It's a big adjustment. Maybe too big. I don't know. But I can't give up now. Zara was getting really sick before Kira came. She's healthy now. Linda looked at the two sisters who were laughing together while they cleaned up the kitchen. They do seem happy together. They are, and that makes me happy too. But Jake wasn't being completely honest. While he was glad to see Zara healthy, and happy, he sometimes felt left out. The sisters had so many shared memories and experiences that he couldn't be part of. Sometimes they would start laughing about something from their childhood, and Jake would feel like an outsider in his own home. The biggest test came a month after Kira arrived, when Jake got food poisoning from a bad sandwich at work. He came home early, feeling terrible, and went straight to bed. When he woke up hours later, both sisters were sitting beside the bed looking worried. Their hair was the same anxious blue color. How are you feeling? Zara asked, touching his forehead, to check for fever. Better, just tired. We made you soup, Kira said, pointing to a bowl on the bedside table. As Jake ate the soup, he realized something important. Both sisters had taken care of him without being asked. They had worked together to make sure he was comfortable. They hadn't seen his sickness as an inconvenience or a problem. They had just helped. Thank you, he said. Of course, Zara said. We're family. The word family made Jake think. He had been so focused on trying to figure out the romantic aspects of their arrangement that he hadn't thought about it as simply being family. Over the next few weeks, Jake started to relax into their routine. They cooked together, watched movies together, and shared household chores. Jake and Zara still had private time together, but they also spent time as a group of 3. Jake found that he enjoyed Kira's company. She was calmer than Zara and helped balance out Zara's impulsive nature. When Zara wanted to buy expensive furniture they couldn't afford, Kira would suggest cheaper alternatives. When Jake got frustrated with work problems, Kira was a good listener. But there were still challenges. When Jake's friend Tom came over for dinner, he kept staring at the sisters and asking inappropriate questions. So how does this work exactly? Tom asked. Do you guys take turns or what? Jake felt embarrassed and angry. It doesn't work like that. But you're married to both of them, right? It's complicated. After Tom left, Jake apologized to both sisters. I'm sorry he was rude. It's okay, Zara said. People are curious about things they don't understand. But we need to figure out how to explain this to people, Kira said. because they're going to keep asking questions. That weekend, they sat down together and talked about their relationship more seriously than they ever had before. "What do you need from this arrangement?" Jake asked Kira. "I need to be close to Zara. I need to feel included in your life together. I don't need romance, but I need affection and friendship." "And what do you need?" Jake asked Zara. "I need to keep what we have together, but I also need Kira to be part of it. I need both of you to be happy." "And what do you need?" Zara asked Jake. Jake thought about it carefully. "I need to know that you choose to be with me, not just because you have to be, and I need to understand my role with Kira." "What kind of role do you want with me?" Kira asked. "I want to be your friend, maybe your brother-in-law, someone who cares about you and takes care of you, but not necessarily a romantic partner." Kira smiled. "I would like that too." They talked for hours about practical things like sleeping arrangements. They decided to try sharing the bedroom but with separate beds. Financial responsibilities. Kira would get a job and contribute to household expenses. And social situations. They would explain their relationship as Kira is Zara's twin sister who lives with us for cultural reasons. The conversation helped, but Jake still felt anxious about the future. What if Kira wanted more than friendship eventually? What if Zara decided she wanted a more traditional relationship? What if Jake couldn't handle the complexity long-term? These worries came to a head when Jake's ex-girlfriend Amy called him, out of the blue. "I heard about your situation," Amy said. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Jake said, though he didn't feel fine. "If you need to talk to someone who understands you, I'm here." After Jake hung up, he realized that Amy's call had made him think about his old life. Things had been simpler when he was single, or even when it was just him and Zara. There had been fewer complications, fewer people to consider, fewer judgments from others. But then he looked at Zara, who was helping Kira learn to cook human food. Zara's hair was bright and colorful, and she was laughing at something Kira had said. She looked healthier and happier than she had in months. Jake realized that even if this arrangement was complicated and stressful, it was also making the woman he loved healthy and happy. And Kira, who had been sad and sick when she first arrived, was now smiling and energetic. Maybe the complications were worth it if everyone ended up better off. That night, Jake made a decision. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, he would focus on making what they had work better. He would stop apologizing for their unusual situation and start embracing it. When a nosy neighbor asked him about his living arrangement, the next day Jake didn't get defensive. "Kira is Zara's twin sister," he said calmly. "In their culture, twins need to stay close to each other to be healthy. We're making it work." "But don't you think it's weird?" the neighbor asked. "I think a lot of things in life are weird," Jake said. "But weird doesn't mean wrong." As Jake walked home, he felt lighter than he had in weeks. He was starting to understand that he didn't need everyone to approve of his choices. He just needed to make choices that worked for his family. And despite all the complications, they were becoming a family. A strange, complicated, sometimes difficult family, but a family nonetheless. 6 months after Kira decided to stay on Earth, Jake woke up to the smell of pancakes and the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen. He smiled before he even opened his eyes. This had become his favorite way to start the day. He found both sisters in the kitchen, covered in flour and giggling like children. Kira had gotten a job at the local library and was teaching Zara how to make Earth breakfast foods before work. "Good morning," Jake said, kissing Zara on the cheek and giving Kira a friendly hug. This morning routine felt natural now, not awkward like it had in the beginning. "We made pancakes," Zara said proudly, pointing to a stack of slightly lopsided pancakes on a plate. "They're a little burned," Kira admitted, "but they taste good." As they ate breakfast together, Jake's phone rang. It was Lisa from work. "Jake, I have interesting news," she said. "Remember Dr. Martin Chen from the university? He's been studying interspecies relationships, and he wants to interview your family for his research." "What kind of research?" "He's writing a book about how human-alien relationships are changing both cultures. He thinks your situation could help other families in similar circumstances. Jake looked at both sisters, who were listening to his side of the conversation with interest. "What do you think?" he asked them after hanging up. "I think it could be helpful," Zara said. "When I first came to Earth, I wished there had been other stories like ours to learn from. And maybe it would help people understand that we're not so strange," Kira added. They agreed to meet with Dr. Chen the following week. The interview went well, and Dr. Chen seemed genuinely interested in understanding their family dynamic rather than sensationalizing it. "What I find most fascinating," Dr. Chen said, "is how you've created your own traditions that blend human and Volani cultures." It was true. Over the months, they had developed their own family customs. They celebrated both Earth holidays and Volani festivals. They had movie nights where they watched films from both planets. They cooked fusion meals that combined flavors from both worlds. Jake's favorite new tradition was their weekly family meetings where they talked about any problems or concerns in a calm, organized way. This had helped them handle several difficult situations, including the time when Zara's boss made inappropriate comments about her unusual home life. "We talked to him together," Zara had explained to Dr. Chen. "Jake, Kira, and me. We explained that our arrangement was cultural, not scandalous. It worked. He apologized and stopped making comments." Dr. Chen was also interested in how they had handled legal issues. Since Earth law didn't recognize multi-partner marriages, they had worked with a lawyer to create contracts that protected everyone's rights regarding property, medical decisions, and financial responsibilities. "It's more complicated than a traditional marriage," Jake admitted, "but it's not impossible." 2 weeks after the interview, Jake came home to find both sisters looking excited about something. Their hair was bright silver with flecks of gold, which meant they were very happy about something. "What's going on?" Jake asked. "We got a message from our parents," Zara said. "They're coming to Earth to visit us." Jake felt nervous and excited at the same time. He had never met Zara's parents, and he wasn't sure how they would react to their unusual arrangement. "When?" he asked. "Next month," Kira said. "They're traveling with a diplomatic mission that's meeting with Earth's government about trade agreements." "Are they angry about the situation?" "No," Zara said. "They're curious, and they want to make sure we're all happy and healthy." Jake spent the next month worrying about meeting his alien in-laws. He cleaned the house obsessively, bought new clothes, and practiced pronouncing their names. But when Zara's parents, Ambassador Thane and Dr. Naya, actually arrived, they were much more relaxed than he expected. "You must be Jake," Ambassador Thane said in perfect English, shaking Jake's hand firmly. "Thank you for taking such good care of our daughters." Dr. Naya hugged Jake warmly. "Zara looks wonderful, much healthier than she was in her last video. Message to us." Over the 3 days they visited, Jake learned a lot about Zara and Kira's family. Their parents were scientists and diplomats who had traveled to many different planets. They were used to adapting to different cultures and situations. "We were worried when Zara decided to stay on Earth," Dr. Naya told Jake privately. "Not because she chose a human partner, but because we knew she would be separated from Kira. And when Kira decided to come find her, we were worried about that too," Ambassador Thane added. "But seeing you all together now, we understand. You've found a way to honor both cultures." The visit went so well that Jake's anxiety about meeting them seemed silly in retrospect. Zara's parents treated him like a son-in-law and made him feel welcome in their extended family. But the best part of their visit was what happened on the last day. Dr. Naya pulled Jake aside and handed him a small, glowing crystal. "This is a family bonding crystal," she said. "In our culture, when someone becomes part of our family permanently, we give them one of these." Jake looked at the crystal, which felt warm in his hand and seemed to pulse with its own light. "Does this mean what I think it means?" he asked. "It means you're our son now," Ambassador Thane said, putting his hand on Jake's shoulder. "Not just Zara's husband, but our family member." That evening, after Zara's parents left for their diplomatic meetings, Jake sat in his backyard with both sisters and thought about how much his life had changed. A year ago, he had been a single man living a quiet life. Now he was part of an Interplanetary family with traditions he was still learning. Are you happy? Zara asked, sitting down beside him. Yes, Jake said, and he realized he really meant it. It's been complicated and scary sometimes, but I'm happy. Even with all the problems we've had? Kira asked, sitting on his other side. Especially because of the problems we've had. Working through them together made us stronger. The next month brought news that made their family even stronger. Dr. Chen's book was accepted for publication, and he wanted to feature their story prominently. More importantly, Lisa told them that the Alien Integration Center wanted to create a program to help other multi-species families navigate similar situations. We want you to be counselors, Lisa explained. You figured out something that other people are struggling with. Jake, Zara, and Kira talked it over and decided to volunteer as mentors for other families dealing with complex interspecies relationships. Their first clients were a human woman married to a Zentari male who had just learned that his culture expected him to take 3 more wives. The important thing, Jake told them, is to communicate honestly about what everyone needs and wants. Don't assume anything. And don't worry too much about what other people think, Zara added. Focus on what works for your family. It takes time to figure out the practical details, Kira said. Be patient with yourselves. Helping other families made Jake realize how much he had learned about relationships, communication, and compromise. He had become someone who could help others navigate difficult situations. 6 months later, Jake got the biggest surprise of his life. He came home from work to find both sisters waiting for him with identical expressions of nervous excitement. We have news, Zara said. Good news or bad news? Jake asked, sitting down. Good news, Kira said. Very good news. They sat on either side of him just like they had that first day when Kira had explained about twin-sharing culture. I'm pregnant, Zara said. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Really? Really. And because of Villani genetics, we're having twins. Jake looked back and forth between both sisters who were now smiling widely. Twins run in our family, Kira explained. All Villani children are born in pairs. So we're having 2 babies? 2 babies who will need both their aunts and their father to help raise them, Zara said. Jake thought about their house, their finances, their already complicated family dynamic. Then he thought about how much love they had to give these children. How many adults would be there to care for them and teach them about both human and Villani culture. This is going to be interesting, he said. Both sisters laughed, their hair turning bright gold. Everything about our family is interesting, Kira said. 1 year later, Jake sat in his backyard watching his twin sons, David and Daniel, play with blocks while their mother and aunt helped them build towers. The boys had Zara's silver hair and Jake's brown eyes, and they already showed signs of the twin connection that was so important in Villani culture. Dr. Chen's book had been published and become popular, bringing more attention to their family, but also helping other interspecies couples. The Alien Integration Center's program was helping dozens of families navigate complex cultural differences. Jake's parents had moved closer to help with the babies, and his mother had become particularly close to Kira. Ryan visited regularly and had started dating a Zentari woman he met through the Integration Center. Most importantly, Jake had stopped worrying about whether their family arrangement was normal or acceptable to others. He had learned that family could take many forms and love could grow in unexpected ways. When people asked him about his unusual situation, Jake would smile and say, "My wife forgot to mention her twin sister when we got married." But it turned out to be the best surprise of my life. As he watched his sons playing while their mother and aunt chatted in a mixture of English,